is Mountain Man coming to you from parts unknown. I hope everyone's doing well tonight, and I am simulcasting on Rumble and YouTube, and I want to thank everybody who stops in and come by and see me tonight. So we got a lot of stuff going on. We've got comedians making fun of Teslas getting destroyed. We got Tim Walsh getting tough, talking tough, and also making jokes about Tesla. We got all these judges that are asking for it. They're asking for a conflict, a collision between the executive branch and the courts. They're baiting Donald Trump, so we'll see how it goes. Anyway, I got a few little videos I'm going to play while people come in. The first one's about mind control, and then a few blasts from the past. So let's go ahead and get into some of these, and then we'll get into what's going on in this big old world.
Training fleas requires a glass jar with a lid. The fleas are placed inside the jar, and the lid is then sealed. They are left undisturbed for 3 days. Then, when the jar is opened, the fleas will not jump out. In fact, the fleas will never jump higher than the level set by the lid. Their behavior is now set for the rest of their lives. And, when these fleas reproduce, their offspring will automatically follow their example.
The Iranian government masks a corrupt dictatorship behind the false guise of a democracy. It has turned a wealthy country with a rich history and culture into an economically depleted rogue state whose chief exports are violence, bloodshed, and chaos. The longest suffering victims of Iran's leaders are, in fact, its own people. Rather than use its resources to improve Iranian lives, its oil profits go to fund Hezbollah and other terrorists that kill innocent Muslims and attack their peaceful Arab and Israeli neighbors. This wealth, which rightly belongs to Iran's people, also goes to shore up Bashar al-Assad's dictatorship, fuel Yemen's civil war, and undermine peace throughout the entire Middle East. We cannot let a murderous regime continue these destabilizing activities while building dangerous missiles, and we cannot abide by an agreement if it provides cover for the eventual construction of a nuclear program.
That it is Barack Obama who corrupts the Justice Department. It is Hillary Clinton who routinely breaks the law and gets away with it. And now we have Joe Biden who's learned. He's learned from Obama that doesn't matter what you do, if you're a liberal Democrat, you will not be prosecuted. He learned from Hillary that a person in high public office can get millions and millions of dollars. And they learned from watching Donald Trump that a true outsider willing to take on the entire system could destroy their entire machine. So what you're seeing across the country is a desperate last-ditch effort by a corrupt machine to destroy their most dangerous opponent in a way which not only breaks the Constitution, destroys the rule of law, and establishes a moment of bitterness which I think will last for a generation or more. I think this is going to be a horrendous period, and we just need to understand the people who want to control America and dictate to the rest of us will break any law, lie about any topic, and manipulate the system any way they can, and that includes a lot of the elite news media.
How much money went from USAID to this to the work at Wuhan and to their collaborator, Ralph Barrett, at the University of North Carolina, to collect and make coronaviruses that are weaponized, that are more deadly.
So I, first of all, reject the implicit accusation in that question, and I do not have at my finger. I do not have at my fingertips the particular details of USAID.
Are you saying for certain? Are you saying for certain that no USAID money went to the Wuhan Institute of Virology?
Go ahead.
No, please tell me. Are you stating that no USAID money went?
I am happy to take questions from those in this audience. I'm happy to answer them. I appreciate that they treat every person in this room, including myself, respectfully. I called on you. I'm now calling on someone else. Go ahead.
Irrespectfully, please tell me, what are you denying?
Go ahead.
What
please.
is your denial?
Go.
It's a non-denial denial.
They have unsuccessfully tried to take down the wrong person.
He's absolutely going to come back with full vengeance the next time around.
Now think about what 4 years of a retribution presidency might look like. Our Constitution really does give the president tremendous power to destroy. This will be something we could never have imagined.
Now the gloves are off.
Some of Trump's close political allies told him they are working on figuring out the identities of the FBI and DOJ staff and forming lists.
I will direct a completely overhauled DOJ to investigate every radical DA and AG in America for their illegal, racist enforcement of the law. The deep state is destroying our nation, but the tables must turn and we will quickly destroy the deep state. We know where the bodies are buried. There are a lot of people out there that have done some very, very evil things, very bad things, I would say treasonous things against our country. People that have done such harm to our country. I've been looking at them for a long time.
He could order the investigation and prosecution of individuals who he sees as enemies.
Put them all in jail where they belong. You gotta get tough and smart, and you have to fight fire with fire. You can't allow this to go on. And I will be the one to clean it up. I am your retribution. We will take care of it. We will take care of it.
Hi, folks. How's everybody doing tonight? I'm glad to see everybody showing up. Nice to see you. Hi, Angela. How you doing? Angela, Sissy, Stephanie. Nice to see you. David, Sherry. Television shows. Mary, Robin, Phil, Debbie. Hi, Wayne. How you doing? Flannel Cheese. Phil, Melinda, Darla, nice to see you all. Rebecca's here, Bushneller's here, Doc's here, a Google account. Yes, a cuckoo judge. Roberto, nice to see you. Roland's here. Aha. Nice to see you, Roland. Pappy Two Bears. All right, I got a stink bug just flew across the screen. What's going on? Straight from Guatemala. Hi, Debbie Marie. Nice to see you. Kathy's here. Another Stephanie. Nice to see you. Well, it's good to say. We'll take as many Stephanies as we can get. Can't have too many Stephanies. So anyway, that first little clip I played was about fleas. I should let it play all the way out. That they put them in a jar and even their offspring that's never been in a jar won't jump any higher. And I found some old shots of stuff from a long time ago. People had put out in the 1960s and 70s, the KGB did some fascinating psychological experiments. They learned if you bombard human subjects with fear messages nonstop, In 2 months or less, most of the subjects are completely brainwashed to believe the false message, to the point that no amount of clear information they are shown to the contrary can change their mind. Isn't that something? And I was watching one of the, I think it was CNN clip. Harry Enton. I think it was Harry Enton. People were asked, should Trump follow court orders? And it was 80 to 90%. Yes. All groups, even Republicans, I think they came at 79. And, people want to trust judges. They want to trust the courts. And maybe the question should have been, do you have to follow orders from a judge that is radical? That a judge that is militant, a judge that does not understand the Constitution. Any of those kinds of inserts instead of broad brush, the courts, we may have had a different percentage. Because I tell you, we had a couple of different things happen. Beryl Howell, she was in one of my thumbnails, sitting next to Judge Bozo, whatever his name is. And I put it on there something not very complimentary about the judiciary. So maybe somebody got a hold of her. Beryl Howell. She was hearing a case about an entity called Peace Initiative or something. I didn't write it down. I need to write down more of this stuff. But anyway, Mission for Peace or something. Just they spend tens of millions of dollars a year, and Doge gave them the boot. And the attorneys came in there. They were describing what happened to Doge. People came into buildings and changed the security codes and just told everybody to put egg in their shoe and beat it. And these employees got back in the building anyway, and they called the Capitol Police and did all this stuff. Long and the short of it is they were dispatched with, and then they sued. And everybody was thinking, well, Beryl Howell, she's been after Trump, and she's as liberal can be. And so she's going to, do some big grandiose executive, or not executive order, judicial order. But no. She told Doge she had concerns about how they were treated. It was awful and terrible, but she still got to go. So, wow, she's the first one. The first one the judge shopping didn't pay off for. Did somebody sit her down and have a talk with her? Maybe Judge Roberts. On my thumbnail, you'll see I got a picture of Trump standing behind Roberts, who's got a kind of a look on his face, like he's not thrilled about what's going on. And know your role. You got to look at the Constitution, and I'm not saying Roberts hasn't. Somebody talked to Beryl Howell, I think, because they've been coming up with these specious rulings. And she didn't. She followed the Constitution and executive powers, okay? This wasn't anything to do with wartime powers or insurgencies or illegal immigrants or no. It was whether or not they had the authority to go in that building and run everybody out of there and shut the doors. And she concurred, even though the property the building was owned by the government, but the U.S. Navy gave this club, this NGO, a administrative authority over the land. And they built themselves a temple, of course. And I thought this was ripe for the judiciary to step in and do something stupid. Especially given the fact that Beryl Howell was involved. But I was surprised. So I'm thinking things are going on behind the scenes. Yeah, that's right, television shows. That's true. He's on the list. Hi, Stanton. How you doing? So I'm just seeing who all's come in while I've been babbling. So, but then we still, on the other hand, have Judge Chutkan, the famous Judge Chutkan, who was headhunting J6 people and going after Trump, playing cards with Jack Smith, even though Eileen Cannon said he was not lawfully appointed. She ordered the EPA, what's his name? You all know, Zeldin. She ordered Zeldin, Lee Zeldin, I believe, to kick billions of dollars back to this crowd, some kind of clean energy bunch. Some of that money is supposed to go to Stacey Abrams to help people with their electric bills. You know how that works. You get $500 million. Oh, I got to have an office for my staff. Oh, we got to have furniture. Oh, these chairs are sticky. We need real leather. Get real leather chairs, coffee pots, snack room. That carpet's not very thick. Put some new carpet to get some thick carpet down. Oh, you don't have any television in your room? I got one in my room. Put television in your office. Oh, your office needs a bathroom. Hey, get it all set up and ready to go. And hand Grandma a $90 check to help her with her electric. I help poor people with their electric. Well, how much did you spend to get that $90? Well, our budget is around $10 million, but we're nonprofit. We're nonprofit. And we help Grandma. So it's bizarre. It's Chutkan ruled in their favor. And she said, well, Zeldin's got till Monday to restore this money. So we're going to see what happens. But they're waiting. The media is beating that drum, putting up that poll. Trump has got to obey orders. So, and as I said at the beginning of the broadcast, we got all this Tesla stuff going on. We pretty much have a little cheerleading group in the media and in the entertainment industry and politicians. It's okay to tear up Teslas and protest. They're just protesting. They have a right to free speech. So, we're going to see how this stuff gels. And the world keeps turning, okay? Even with all this stuff going on, Trump has to have the team behind him that he had. I mean, he's dealing with Russia, Ukraine, Iran, the Houthis in Yemen, plus dealing with these other matters. So he's got to have top of the line people, and he does. A lot of people, aren't happy with everybody's performance. But time will tell. And if somebody isn't performing good enough, somebody else will step up. Because this is our last chance, okay? It's our last chance. Did you all see the drone show Trump put on in I believe it was in, I don't know if it was in Mar-a-Lago or it was somewhere in Florida. Trump put on this drone show. I don't know if you all got a chance to see it or not. I'm going to go ahead and play it. Yeah, that was a little response, I believe, to China. Remember, I showed that video of the dragons in the air and everything with the light show that China put on? And I believe Trump had this to show them, well, we got the same technology. Angel Light was put out by, I guess, Trump's team, I guess. I wasn't sure where it was. Somebody who put in there, it was Marie put in Miami. Yeah, they had it in Miami. It was really nice. And, they raided Alexander Soriosio's offices. Oh, I hadn't heard that yet. Won't that be something to find out about? Oh, okay. All right. Miss Mendersu, how you doing? Angel's here. Yeah. So anyway, I've got a bunch of clips. Now this what do they say? They had 100 and some lawsuits out for against Trump, and they've dumped even more. But I tell you, they're going to have to. These guys aren't doing this stuff for nothing. They're not doing this stuff for nothing. Here's this one here. The news puts out that she's been deported. And this is a, I guess, student or doctor student or intern or something like that, that actually went to the funeral of this Nasrallah Hassan, whatever his name is. He's the one that I showed the missile penetrate the road. And I said the guy on the scooter was the luckiest guy in the world. Hassan Nasrallah. And is the one that they got with the bomb. She went to the funeral of a guy that is responsible for hundreds of terror attacks and people losing their lives, Americans losing their lives. And she went down there to mourn him. She didn't get deported. They wouldn't let her back in the country. There's a big difference. But anyway, let me see what this clip says.
Attorney for Dr. Rasha Alloway shares a brief statement. She doesn't comment on allegations the Rhode Island-based doctor and professor was supporting terrorists. Alloway was returning to Providence on an H-1B visa issued to foreigners with special skills. She was detained at Logan Airport Thursday and sent back to Lebanon. The Department of Homeland Security today says Alloway attended the funeral of Hezbollah terrorist Hassan Nasrallah, writing, quote, "A visa is a privilege, not a right. Glorifying and supporting terrorists who kill Americans is grounds for visa issuance to be denied. This is common sense security."
It would lead them to ask further questions about her connection to Hezbollah and to other factions in the region.
Yeah, I mean, you're out of here, so she didn't get back in. She didn't get back in. Goodbye. Goodbye to you. Here's a clip of, speaking of court orders. Oh, I want to thank Mike and Bev for helping out with the channel tonight, going by buy me a coffee. If you're out there, I know I'm on the big screen. So anyway, here's a congressman talking to a nitwit on the news media, and you're not going to see them sharing this clip very much, but I'll share it. He pretty much just told them they were idiots.
Well, but so no matter what a judge
and he's
says,
taking the side, and he's taking the side of a bunch of criminals.
He hasn't taken any. He hasn't taken any side yet, Congressman. He hasn't taken any side yet. All he's done is put a stay on the White House action here so that he can review their use of their novel use, frankly, of the Alien Enemies
Oh, come
Act.
on. These guys, listen, these guys, the difference between God and these judges is God knows he's not one of these judges. They're arrogant. They practice this type of thing all the time. And if you had a conservative one doing it, you all would be raising total hell. But because it's a left-winger and it's standing and you all take that side,
this isn't a question about the media.
You all would take the side of a bunch of murderers.
No one's taking a side here. Congressman,
yes,
no
you
one's
are.
taking a side here.
He is not.
I'm asking you about the Constitution. Is asking about the Constitution. Is asking about the Constitution taking a side. All I'm asking you is about the Constitution, what you think of it, and what you would advise this White House and your feeling about judicial rulings. And that seems to be upsetting you. I'm just trying to get your position on this and what you would advise the White House going forward.
It's not upsetting. I guess what upsets me is that you all at CNN continuously take the side of the far left, and that's why your ratings continue to plummet. And I do not ever understand why y'all do that. Every time. I know you got to take the opposite side on everything, but you all are wrong on this one. Listen, this is a gang that took over an apartment complex in Colorado. They
There's
murdered
not been a
people.
side
They
taken.
are criminals.
We're trying to understand.
They
Now,
are
you can
criminals.
argue.
They are not
You
American
can argue.
Quit taking
You
their
can,
side, CNN.
Congressman,
what
can you?
is wrong with you all?
Can Congressman?
You are so out of touch with what's 85% of this country
Congressman?
does not support what you are spewing out right now.
We
And
haven't
this judge
spewed.
is
The
complete
only one
overreach.
spewing
He's
is the
an
guy who's
activist.
talking uninterrupted
How long
right
does
now.
it take him to review this stuff? How long does it take him to review this stuff? These judges, he'll sit on his ass for months so these criminals can stay in this country. This is all this is. This is overreach. And I'll guarantee you, if his kids had been murdered or raped, as has happened in this country to several American citizens by these thugs, that he would be taking a different position. But he's protected. You all protect him. You all have got to come off this. Seriously, I don't know how you all sleep at night when you protect criminals, murderers,
Congressman,
and rapists.
can I ask you to stop for 1 second here? I think if you go through and analyze the question.
Blah, blah, blah. Analyze the question. Tim Burchett out of Tennessee, and he's got it right. They're a bunch of suck-ups and idiots. Their ratings stink. Nobody's buying what you're selling. And this business started with 5 names who were being deported, 5 known gang members. And they say it's the ACLU. Now, these outfits don't do stuff for nothing. They don't do stuff for nothing. Somehow somebody's getting some money. And let's just hope that stuff's being checked out. I'm sure it is. And keep in mind another thing. They stripped Trump of his attorney-client privilege more than once. More than once in the New York case, and then again, that was with Cohen, and then they stripped it again with Peter Navarro. And they forced the attorney to come in and testify. They seized Peter Navarro's phone, okay, and his records. They demanded information from him that's traditionally protected. How about that may happen with this situation where these attorneys are going against the president and these judges for known terrorists, okay? So a presidential proclamation. Well, let's see if they don't come up under some extraordinary scrutiny, because it's not that big of a leap. It's not that big of a leap to tie this stuff together. The intricate web, right? The violent actions, not only of what's going on with the Teslas, but past actions with BLM and Antifa, other groups that were committing violence. And it always happens when there is some either election coming up or Trump is trying to get through certain programs or policies or conduct his presidency in a way that's going to shake up the status quo, like Newt Gingrich was telling us about. So anyway, we'll go through these little goofball clips about. Let's see. I got a couple of things here. Here's where they're burning up a Tesla place. I didn't get that clip itself, but I mean, you sit there and just watch cars burning. Las Vegas Review Journal. Developing video provided to the Review Journal shows several Tesla vehicles engulfed in flames after Las Vegas police say they were set on fire by an individual early Tuesday morning. Well, that lunatic, I wonder if I got his picture in the studio. Caught himself on fire, I think. Yeah, here he is. Right here. Here's a brain surgeon. Hapless anti-Musk activist sets himself on fire after attacking. Oh, this was in South Carolina with Molotov cocktails. There he is. He's brilliant. So you had one in South Carolina and you had one in Las Vegas. That's interesting, Ronald. Yeah. Judicial Act of 1802. I'll have to check up on that. Oh, I'm sure there's a way to rein in these lunatic trial court judges, local judges. Ha ha. Because this little meme here ties into what I'm saying. All these actions, if the financing of the protests, okay, the doxing of people, setting up websites. Where's that one at? There's one I got a screenshot of. It's hard to read, but wait a minute. There it is. Oh, this one's real hard to read. Wait a second. Let me see if I got a better one. There's these people, I don't know if they're still up or not, but I'm sure they're going to get a knock on their door. I got to make it real big. Tesla owners doxxed. Sell your car or stay on the list. It's called DogeQuest, a website where they dox people and they put their location on the map. Everybody who owns a Tesla. And this other screenshot shows how they use a Molotov cocktail. There it is, a little Molotov cocktail as one of their symbols. And if you can prove to them that you sold your Tesla, then they'll take your name off. So it's to menace Tesla owners. Where is that screenshot Fox News had up of the definition of, here it is, FBI definition of domestic terrorism. Appearing. Isn't that interesting choice of words? All you need is the appearance. Appearing to be intended to intimidate or coerce civilian population, influence the policy of government by intimidation or coercion, affect the conduct of a government by mass destruction, assassination, or kidnapping, occurring primarily within the territorial jurisdiction of the United States. Yeah, that's the entire left. Here's something very interesting Trump put out today. He put this out today. Poultry birds culled due to, I guess, the bird flu by a week. Millions of birds culled. You see the spike, and then when Trump gets inaugurated, and then where we're at now. Interrupting this food supply, would that count? Influence policy or government by intimidation or affect the conduct of government by mass destruction. Yeah, I think mass destruction of birds would count. Did you see this one yet? Babylon Bee. Federal judge orders astronauts to be returned to space station. Ha ha ha. Of course, that's a tongue-in-cheek. Did you all get to see the splashdown? Let me see. I got a... Oh, here's the... where is that? I got the dolphins were coming around. I don't know if you can see dolphins in this or not.
Itself out of the water there. Those.
There we go.
Oh my gosh, they are dolphins. Look at that. Holy smokes.
Ha ha ha. That was neat. Yeah, you know, this is the kind of stuff you figure leftists would like, right? Here's a picture of Trump putting on a Medal of Honor for helping dolphins, helping rescue astronauts. But no, they've always got to be miserable and angry about something. I got a video of the capsule actually coming down. I thought I had my mic off for a minute. There it is. Here it is. There we go. Here comes the splashdown. Do you think they'll thank Elon Musk? No.
As you can see there on your screen, continuing to monitor progress of the Dragon spacecraft. And we're going to stand by for splashdown located in the Gulf of America off the coast of Tallahassee, Florida.
And splashdown. Crew 9 back on Earth.
Yeah, they looked pretty good when they landed. I mean, when I saw them getting out of the capsule and stuff. But can you imagine your muscles from being in weightlessness for 9 months? But apparently they do some kind of exercise. I mean, you can't lift weights, because the gravity, but I guess they have resistance bands or something. But I'm sure they're very shaky and are going to have to do a lot of physical therapy to get their muscles built back up. But yeah, they've been up there a long time. A long time. I got pretty much the whole interview with Trump last night. I might play that and interrupt it. Laura Ingraham. But here's a clip I thought I had in my studio the other night, and I couldn't find it. I think at the end here, or let me get my mic on so I can hear it too. I can hear it, but not that good without a mic in. But I think at the end of this little talk here, he talks about, there we go. He talks about April 2nd being Freedom Day.
In future, when we had India last week, we had France last week, we had a lot of people. We had Ireland, we had UK, and they come in and I say, "How's it looking?" They say, "Oh, it looks much better. That's great." But it looked very good when we had it. But I'd like it to look beyond that. So we're going to spend a lot of effort, a lot of money on crime, and we're going to spend it on fixing up. We don't want graffitis on the beautiful white statuary marble. And we want to have our roads good and everything else. We'll be able to do that easily. And this is a part of it. I mean, Kennedy Center is a very big part of it. And you can't have this looking like it does. I'm so surprised because, I know the person who was in charge of it. And he's a good man. I never realized this was in such bad shape. I've been so busy, I haven't been able to be here in a long time. And I shouldn't be with what I'm doing. But I thought it was important because I've been hearing reports, and I thought it was very important to make this good. It's a very big part of the fabric of Washington, D.C., and we're going to make our capital great again, just like we're going to make our country great again. April 2nd is Liberation Day for our country because we're going to finally be taking in money. We're already doing it, a lot of money. As you know, we put down some early tariffs on people and countries that were not treating us well.
Liberation Day, that's what he said, Liberation Day. But apparently the Kennedy Center was a rat hole. It was covered in graffiti and filth. And of course, I guess he's making Muriel Bowser, or whatever her name is, get on it and clean it up before we have dignitaries coming down and looking at all that kind of chaos, which is what they thrive off of, right? Yeah, Lori, they do like messing with our food supply. And I'm sure they have plenty of examples of where they're driving up costs and disrupting the food chain just to harm Trump's presidency. So we had the Kennedy files come out. And from what I understand, they had about 55,000 pages. And maybe today they brought out the other 25,000 because they said it was 80,000 total. And remember one thing. They don't only have rabbit holes, okay, to distract people, to go down a rabbit hole. Here's a rabbit hole. They've had how many years to dig rabbit holes to send people down? They also got squirrels' nests. They've had all these years to tweak, tamper, insert. So you're looking up at a squirrel's nest or you're looking down for rabbit holes. But I'm sure with trained intelligence officers, they can go through those papers and develop a chain of events and verify events. You know, they put in red herrings, you know, to throw people off the trail. But one thing's for certain, in my mind, is that the government was involved to the benefit of foreign powers. More than likely, not even a single government. And you know what I'm talking about. Here, Liz Harrington, Donald Trump put this out. Because they were talking about Joe and his pardons and his auto pen, right? Liz Harrington said we should just invalidate the pardons and everything else Biden did because they stole the election and he was never elected president. Yeah, how about that? Donald Trump put that up today. He doesn't put up stuff for nothing. He doesn't put up stuff for nothing. Here's a dopey judge. Judge blocks Trump's ban on transgender military service members. Roberts has got to get a hold of his court. I mean, you can't have these judges that believe in changing your gender serving on the bench. You can't have it's irrational. Breaking: federal judge blocks the Trump administration from enforcing a ban, and I forget her name. She's a freaky looking mess that Obama appointed. Speaking of freaky looking messes, we got another U.S. aid. And see, this is ABC News. I'm almost sure of it. Yeah, ABC News. Oh, he's carrying a bag of flour or rice for the poor people. Judge says this mailing of U.S. aid was unconstitutional. Orders Elon Musk to restore access for employees. A federal judge. They should put on there a local trial judge has ruled Elon Musk's attempt to unilaterally dismantle U.S. aid by violation of the Constitution, blah, 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 and ordered Musk to restore access. Immediately give aid to U.S. employees and access to their email, payments, security notification, and all other electronic systems, and ordered a pause on any efforts to shut down U.S. aid. Well, that clip that I played earlier, for those of you who weren't here, I played a clip where a reporter was demanding to know if U.S. aid had anything to do with that LAB in China. In that clip, I looked on my file. I got it back in September of 2023. U.S. aid. Whoops. I don't want to take that down. I want to leave that up. Take that one down. Just in case, I don't know how many people were in when I played it. I'll play it again. This was in September of 2023 is when the recording said listen to what he says.
How much money went from USAID to the work at Wuhan and to their collaborator, Ralph Barrick, at the University of North Carolina, to collect and make coronaviruses that are weaponized, that are more deadly?
So I, first of all, reject the implicit accusation in that question, and I do not have at my finger. I do not have at my fingertips the particular details of USAID.
Are you saying for certain? Are you saying for certain that no USAID money went to the Wuhan Institute of Virology?
Go ahead.
No, please tell me. Are you stating that no USAID money went?
I am happy to take questions from those in this audience. I'm happy to answer them. I appreciate that they treat every person in this room, including myself, respectfully. I called on you. I'm now calling on someone else. Go ahead.
Irrespectfully, please tell me, what are you denying?
Go ahead,
What
please.
is your denial?
Go.
It's a non-denial denial.
So he was on it over a year, well, it's almost 2 years ago. We didn't even know what that stood for. Oh, hi, Jerry. How you doing? Nice to see you. So, anyway, here's a moron. A moron. Jeff Nguyen put this up. I guess he got it off his Tesla. Here's a guy. He thinks he's slick. Just walking along, cutting a Tesla. Yeah. Enhanced sentence, okay? Here, let's see. What's oh man, this really made me mad. This guy here comparing these Trinidad Aragua people to my people from Ireland.
On this St. Patrick's Day, as millions of Americans celebrate their Irish heritage, recent events remind us that the Irish were among the first immigrants to be targeted in deportation crackdowns.
In the mid-1800s, New York and Massachusetts enforced policies to have Irish immigrants rounded up and deported.
The American Civil Liberties Union didn't exist then, but if it had, it may have taken the legal position it is taking now, suing the Trump administration to stop what it considers to be the illegal deportation over the weekend of more than 200 migrants to El Salvador.
That's so offensive. Let me tell you something. Those drawings he was showing was from the draft riots. The draft riots from the Civil War. Did you know that if you had $500, you could avoid the draft? Irish people didn't have two dimes rubbed together to make a spark. So they were all getting drafted. And, there were riots that watched the movie Gangs of New York. They had warships fire cannons into New York City. 5 points. So for him to compare that, you became cannon fodder if you didn't have $500. So, I'm talking about the draft riots during the Civil War television shows. The ones you're talking about is, with the Italians and the Irish about workers' unions. Yeah, that was turn of the century, right? So, he's got more nerve than bum tooth. More nerve than a bum tooth. I got this clip here. I don't remember what she's been busting some chops. Somebody asked her about the French were talking about wanting the Statue of Liberty back. She said, well, the French ought to be glad they're not speaking German thanks to us. So, no, they're not getting the statue back. But anyway, let me see what she's got to say.
Well, the Trump administration and the White House were consulted by the Israelis on their attacks in Gaza tonight. And as President Trump has made it clear, Hamas, the Houthis, Iran, all those who seek to terrorize not just Israel, but also the United States of America will see a price to pay. All hell will break loose. And all of the terrorists in the Middle East, again, the Houthis, Hezbollah, Hamas, Iranian-backed terror proxies, and Iran themselves should take President Trump very seriously when he says he is not afraid to stand for law-abiding people. He is not afraid to stand up for the United States of America. America and our friend and our ally Israel. And we know that these successful defensive strikes that took place over the weekend against the Houthis in the Red Sea were indeed successful. We took out some of their leaders, and the Defense Department is set to continue with this campaign if the Houthis continue with their retaliatory measures. The president is going to stand for the navigation, freedom of navigation of our seas, which is a very basic principle that unfortunately the previous administration refused to stand for, and that's why we are in this mess in the Middle East in the first place. President Trump inherited a lot of problems, Sean, because of the incompetence and the weakness of the Biden-Harris administration, but he is focused on fixing them, and our allies and our adversaries better take him seriously.
Yeah, she's got her head on right. I think I'm going to. I think I'll play these interviews with Laura Ingraham. I mean, you know, Trump has got so many. I called them like dishes on a stick, like they, you know, the old vaudeville shows. A guy would spin a dish on a stick and then another dish on a stick, and he'd have them all spinning and run around, keep them all going. Well, Trump has got a team that can help him keep these dishes spinning. But, you know, he gives these interviews, and Biden couldn't last 2 minutes. And Trump goes for, you know, a solid half hour over just about any topic you want. But anyway, I'll play Laura and interject from time to time. I think he covers Iran, Iraq, Tesla, the judges, a lot of different things.
A fairly optimistic take. Vladimir Putin agreed to a ceasefire immediately on energy and infrastructure, right, but not to a 30-day ceasefire. Tell us what happened.
Well, you have a situation where you have a lot of guns pointing at each other foolishly, because it would have never happened if I were president. That was not a war that was supposed to happen. And it did happen. So that's where we are. And right now, you have a lot of guns pointing at each other. And a ceasefire without going a little bit further would have been tough. Russia has the advantage, as you know. They have encircled about 2,500 soldiers. They're nicely encircled, and that's not good. And we want to get it over with. Look, we're doing this. There are no Americans involved. There could be if you end up in World War III over this, which is so ridiculous. But, you know, strange things happen. And I think we had a great call. It lasted almost 2 hours. Talked about a lot of things and toward getting it to peace. And we talked about other things also.
Was there non-negotiables mentioned by Putin? It was reported that I think the Kremlin media actually stated that he demanded an immediate cessation of aid to Ukraine in order to get to this multi-step deal.
No, he didn't. We didn't talk about aid. Actually, we didn't talk about aid at all. We talked about a lot of things, but aid was never discussed.
In the readout, it also stated that both sides want to get to an improved bilateral relationship, the United States and Russia.
That's true.
How can we trust that Vladimir Putin actually wants that, in that he's not also being influenced at the same time by his close friend, President Xi of China?
Well, look, we have our own discussions with President Xi of China, and he wants to get along also, and he's looking to get along, and we're looking to get along with him, and we will. We have a problem of trade where we have a very big imbalance with China.
Well, before he goes on to that, I had some things from Ruski land, okay, from Putin, and he gave a statement after speaking with Trump. Our troops carried out a number of daring operations are completing the defeat of Ukrainian armed forces in the Kursk region. All military personnel who committed crimes against civilians in the Kursk region must be identified and punished. All Ukrainian military personnel, and especially foreign mercenaries in the Kursk region, are terrorists. Military prosecutors have been instructed to identify and investigate all crimes committed by the Ukrainian armed forces in the Kursk border. We will definitely win this war. This is Zelensky. Zelensky called Trump today, claiming they're going to win the war. You see the handwriting on the wall. Keir Starmer and Macron are both talking about sending troops over there, totally bypassing Trump's peace talks. And then you got Zelensky making noise like this. But then he says, for Ukraine, recognizing Ukrainian territories as Russian is a red line. We will not go for it. I will find out from Trump the details of his conversation with Putin in person. I believe this year, the war can end with a dignified peace. So, yeah. Let's see this. The Kremlin, let me see. The Kremlin, oh, okay, I'm going backwards on this. There was an attack. Let me see. Delegations from Washington and Moscow will meet in Saudi Arabia on March 23rd. This was just after the phone call with Trump. He specified the central topic of the negotiations will be the details of the ceasefire agreement with Ukraine. Witkoff also said the draft ceasefire agreement between Russia and Ukraine includes a ban on attacks on all infrastructure, not just energy facilities. Okay, well, right after he got off the phone with Trump, here it is. Following the negotiations between Putin and Trump, the Russian armed forces received an order from the Supreme Commander-in-Chief to stop attacks on Ukraine's energy infrastructure. At that moment, there were 7 Russian drones in the air, targeting Ukrainian energy facilities in the Nikolaev region associated with the military-industrial complex, the Russian ministry clarified. Following Putin's order, Russian military personnel shot down their own drones that were flying to strike energy facilities in the Nikolaev region associated with the military-industrial complex. 6 devices were shot down by the Panzer system, and another was destroyed by a fighter. So the news services are saying that Putin took extraordinary steps to shoot down their own drones. Now, believable? I don't know. But it is a public good faith statement that they're trying to put a stop to infrastructure attacks. A few hours after the end of the negotiations between Putin and Trump, Kiev attacked an energy infrastructure facility in the village of whatever the name of that is with 3 drones. The facility provides for transshipment of oil into the pipeline to the Caspian Sea, I guess. When the unmanned air vehicle fell, the tank depressurized, causing a fire of 1.7 thousand square meters, and firefighting is underway. So they're saying after the deal was made, Ukraine did a pretty major attack. The Russian Defense Ministry called the actions of the Kiev regime a specially prepared provocation aimed at disrupting Trump's peace initiatives. So, yeah. Then after that, the Kremlin views the Ukraine armed forces attacks as sabotage of ceasefire agreements. At the same time, the Russian president's command to stop attacks on Ukrainian infrastructure facilities was immediately carried out. Now the Russian authorities are watching closely whether to see Kiev will listen to Moscow and do Washington's intention to do everything possible to move the situation towards a peaceful course. So there's been punches traded. We've already been over these. So hopefully that's the end of it for now. Otherwise, it gives Trump a black eye. Anyway, let me continue with this interview.
That much trade, and they'd like to, and we'd like to also. They have some very valuable things for us, including very big forms of rare earth. They have a lot of earth. You know, they have a big chunk of real estate, the biggest in the world for a country by far. And on that, they have things that we could use, frankly, and that other people could use. I think that President Xi would like to get along, and I think Russia wants to get along with the United States. I also think we're a much different country than we were just a few months ago. We're a country that's now respected. We were not respected. We were being laughed at. We had incompetent leadership. This was a war, as an example, that would have never happened if I were president.
Is part of your desire to forge this new relationship with Russia also impacted by Russia's closer relationship since you left office in 2021 with China? Because I think you talked about before the desire to box out China from that part of the world and have a closer relationship with Russia.
So as a student of history, which I am, and I've watched it all, the first thing you learn is you don't want Russia and China to get together. With that being said, no, it's not a big part of it, but maybe that'll happen or maybe it won't. Obama really forced them together through energy and bad energy policies. And what he did, so many different things. He forced a marriage which would never have taken place. It was not a natural. And for one reason, Russia has tremendous land, a lot of land, and China doesn't have enough land. Russia has a much smaller population than China. And it's sort of it was always a natural enemy situation. They're probably friendly now, but we're going to be friendly with both. I think we're going to be friendly with both. China needs us in terms of trade very badly, but we have to straighten out the deficit. We have now more than $1 trillion deficit with China. It's not even believable. And we're going to be doing something about that. And with Russia, they would like to have some of our economic power.
The criticism that you've heard since really 2015 is that you have more in common with Vladimir Putin than you do with globalist leaders, maybe some NATO leaders, and in this case, with Zelensky. You're both nationalists. Zelensky's more of a globalist. How do you respond to that criticism?
Well, I am a nationalist, but I'm a nationalist for the United States, not for anybody else. And it's interesting because there's nobody been tougher on Russia than me. I'm the one that pointed out Nord Stream 2, and I stopped it. Nord Stream is the biggest pipeline, I guess, in the world, taking care of all of Europe. And it was being built from before I got there. And somehow they were on the way. It was going to be, and I stopped it. It was just stone cold dead. I stopped it in its tracks. That's not somebody that's being particularly, it was the biggest project they ever had. I had it stopped. When Biden got in, he immediately approved it, like immediately. One of the first things he did in office was he approved Nord Stream 2. Nobody ever heard of Nord Stream 2 until I was president. I said, what are you doing? You mean you're building a pipeline to Germany and various places in Europe. You're paying them billions of dollars a month, and then we're paying a lot of money to fight them. This is not going to work out well. And it stopped, and then Biden approved it, which was a really stupid thing to do, but he did it. And Putin actually said to me, if you're my friend, I'd hate to see you as my enemy. He said that very strongly. But with all of that, I had a very good relationship with Putin. I had a very good relationship with President Xi, a very good relationship with Kim Jong-un of North Korea. Lots of good relationships. And that's a positive thing. That's not a negative thing. But at the same time, I'm about our country. So that's why we're talking about tariffs. We'll be taking in trillions of dollars.
I want to get to the tariffs in a minute because we're going to first hit the other big news of the day, which was the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court issued a rare statement about your suggestion on Truth that you posted earlier today that Judge James Boasberg should be impeached after he ordered those deportation flights to El Salvador halted, essentially turned around. The Chief Justice said it was more than two centuries. We understood that
essentially. Well, I'm just going to interject before she gets into Boasberg. This is another truth that Trump put out from Liz Harrington. How about a full list of the people Chutkin reports to? Okay, Chutkin sitting here ordering Lee Zeldin to give those billions of dollars out to the likes of Stacey Abrams. The same judge who tried to lawlessly put President Trump in jail is trying to protect the government corruption at all costs. I'm shocked. So, yeah, just keeping a finger on the pulse the way things are going.
Response to rulings you disagree with. What's your reaction to the courts stepping in to make a statement here? They didn't make a statement when Joe Biden decided to forgive all those student loans.
Well, he didn't mention my name in the statement. I just saw it quickly. He didn't mention my name, yeah. But many people have called for his impeachment, the impeachment of this judge. I don't know who the judge is, but he's radical left. He was Obama appointed. And he actually said we shouldn't be able to take criminals, killers, murderers, horrible, the worst people, gang members, gang leaders, that we shouldn't be allowed to take them out of our country. Well, that's a presidential job. That's not for a local judge to be making that determination. And I thought it was terrible. In fact, he said when they were well on their way, there was an order issued, as I understand it, to bring them back or to not let them go or something. And this is not something that the country would stand for. These people, they were let in here by an incompetent president who had open borders, and anybody throughout the world could come in. And
Boasberg has given, I don't know who he's tossing the order at, but I think it's by 5 o'clock tomorrow. They have to give the flight times, which planes went where, or say that they're enacting the doctrine of state secrets. I was waiting for that to start coming up because there is a doctrine of state secrets. And what the hell business is that of his? Any state secrets? So that's going to be interesting. I still find it very compelling that this Beryl Howell, she folded. She folded today. Chutkin's still pushing it. This Boasberg bozo is pushing, but I think something's going to come of this. And I'm not totally, I'm not saying John Roberts is going to totally stick up for these judges. I think he's gotten his marching orders. You all know, and I know that he's done wrong things, bad things, but we got to get the bad judges out. We got to get people held accountable for crimes they've committed, but we also have to protect our institutions. And it's more important to protect the institutions, but at the same time, get all the baddies. But we don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. Okay, so what I'm saying is, Roberts is going to play along, but act like he's not. That's what I'm saying. He's got to play both sides. So anyway, we'll see how it turns out.
The judge is essentially saying, excuse me, Mr. President, that there still is a process in place. You can read between the lines. It hasn't been a full ruling yet. And I know the Justice Department is appealing this on a couple of different grounds, but this is leading people to wonder whether there are court orders that you will defy because you believe that the judge has no jurisdiction or they're political questions and not justiciable at all. And what would you say to that? Are there circumstances where you would defy a court order?
Well, I think that, number one, nobody's been through more courts than I have. I think nobody knows the courts any better than I have. I would say the chief judge does, but nobody knows them better than I have. And what they've done to me, I've had the worst judges. I've had crooked judges. I have judges that valued Mar-a-Lago at $18 million because that benefited his case, because he wanted to see me convicted of something. I have judges that had relatives making millions and millions of dollars on the election, ruling on the election.
But going forward,
I had judges
would
that
you
were
defy
so
a court
corrupt.
order? Because that we all know
No,
that, and that was outrageous.
I never did defy a court order.
And you wouldn't in the future.
No, you can't.
So, okay, he said to the world, these judges are corrupt. Okay, and you heard him lay out the charges. So that tells me that when all this stuff shakes out and all the smoke clears, they got to go. They got to go for the good of the country. They have to go. And I cut it off right when he was saying it, but he's saying, of course, you have to follow court orders. He's avoiding that feeble attempt at an impeachment trap. You know, they're going to try to say, oh, he's like the poll Harry Enton put up, 80 to 90% of the people, oh, you got to follow court orders. You know, but once you make, and Laura Ingraham confirming these public charges of corruption, that tells me that they're not going to be able to stay on the bench when all this is over with. It's just how to get them out of there is the thing.
However, we have bad judges. We have very bad judges, and these are judges that shouldn't be allowed. I think at a certain point you have to start looking at what do you do when you have a rogue judge. The judge that we're talking about, you look at his other rulings. I mean, rulings unrelated, but having to do with me, he's a lunatic.
He wants details of when flights departed and trying to, I guess they seem to be trying to lay the predicate for your administration having defied a court order. Now, you all have said you haven't given specific times, and you filed a motion in court, your Justice Department, to prevent any more information getting out about specific times of flights. So that seems to be where this is going. Do you have faith that the Supreme Court ultimately will rule in your favor in this case? I do,
because the job of getting people out of our country that are murderers, that are absolutely the worst people, the drug lords are causing such problems in this country. You know, drug lords came in, the biggest of them. They left other countries to come in here. They came through an open border. They're making millions of dollars destroying people's lives, killing people. And that's a presidential thing. We're supposed to be getting them out or getting them brought to justice. We had a judge, I would call him a rogue judge. You can call him whatever you want. I know nothing about him. I heard about this very late in the process, and I said, that's a strange order. You have local judges, local federal judges, period, and DAs and prosecutors, DAs, state attorney generals that want to really take over. I think some of it's for the publicity. They love the publicity. All of a sudden, they're on the front page of every newspaper.
Well, that's a good point he's bringing up. It's not just judges. It's not just judges. We've got a lot of reform to do. Yeah. Hi, Jerry. How you doing? You know, we got to get people off the bar. Maybe it has to be reformed, and people that have broken the law have got to be held accountable. But they have a code of conduct. They have a code of ethics. And if they're manipulating it, not following it, concealing things, whatever they're doing, they have to be held accountable, and there has to be better oversight. Much better oversight than what they've got going on now. Let's see. Here's the continuation of the interview. Let me see.
My interview with President Trump. Moving on to DOJ, Judge Theodore Chuang is a federal district court judge in Maryland, has ruled against the Trump administration's efforts, Mr. President, to shut down USAID, ordering the government on an accelerated basis to basically reinstate the agency's statutory functions. Your reaction to this development?
Look at the fraud that we've caught. We've caught so much fraud, so much waste, so many employees that never showed up to work, And we have a judge from a very liberal state who ruled like that. So bad for our country.
So I guess they closed the department. They're going to have to reopen
we'll
the department.
be appealing it, I guess. Not I guess. I guarantee you. We will be appealing it. We have rogue judges that are destroying our country.
Well, do you believe that at this point, given the totality of these lawsuits, it's a cavalcade of lawsuits, that your administration could be further hampered, your agenda could be slowed down? They're throwing monkey wrenches at you with these judicial rulings.
Well, we have to go through an appellate process. That takes a long time. We have a judge that...
Do you have time?
We have a judge...
That's the point.
We have time. We're going to be making a lot of money because of tariffs. The good news is we've got it on... We're going to very soon be on an even keel. We're going to be taking in a lot of money. The Trump card, the gold card, whatever they want to call it, it's okay with me. Whatever's going to sell better is fine with me. It'd be nice to get a piece, but I don't get a piece. Okay, I get nothing out of it. All I do is want to make this country successful again. We're taking in tremendous amounts of money. We have car companies that are building here who 6 months ago were going to build in Mexico, massive plants. They're building them in the United States. We have Honda is going to Indiana. We have them opening up in Michigan. It's amazing what's happening.
But judges, for federal judges, district court judges, to order a sitting president to reinstate fired employees, you're the chief executive officer of the United States. You order that these agencies be reviewed.
Fired employees, many of whom didn't even report to work, many of whom were scamming this country. And you see the same things. I could read them off, and I did during various speeches. I read off deal after deal after deal, all big scams. And we have a guy that wants to make a name for himself. You know, in many cases, they're just grandstanders. They want to make a name for themselves. So we'll appeal it, and hopefully we will meet with reasonable appeals. You know, I've won great cases on appeals.
Yeah, well, some of the, maybe people weren't fired, maybe they were temporarily put on suspended. So we'll see how this plays out. But he's very unhappy with what happened at USAID.
Well, he shouldn't be. You know what he should do? He should really look at where the money went. They don't ever want to do that. You know, the Democrats always talk about, oh, our Constitution's been violated. The one thing they never talk about is, where did these billions of dollars go? They never want to look, because when you see where the money went and the scams, you don't even have to see anything. Just look at the heading and the scam that they've created. And a judge like him will never look at that. They'll just say, oh, you want to, it sounds so nice, USAID, isn't it beautiful? But it's a whole big scam, Laura. And a judge like that is so bad for our country.
Well, it'll be interesting to see whether you're able to shrink the size of this government. Every Republican president has claimed a desire to. Even Obama said we have to find ways for...
Well, if they do have to give money out, if you know, they don't have to give a lot. They have to make payments just to make it, well, we complied with the judge's order. I hope they trace every dirty penny, every dirty red cent, and anything that's been misspent, that they prosecute it. But I've always said in the past, I'll get upset when Trump gets upset. And he seems very relaxed, very calm. He says, we have time. We have time. We're going to be making a lot of money. And it's right now, it's just a chess game with a bunch of corrupt individuals. And I think it's just a matter of time before it gets stopped and what's been put out gets traced. So anyway, I'll let it keep going.
By the way, we're doing it at levels never seen before.
Lunatics are setting fire to Teslas all across the country. Another horrible incident happened in Las Vegas last night. The FBI is on the scene investigating, and there's an ongoing investigation being led by Pam Bondi. In what you've seen so far, do you consider what's happening an act of domestic political terrorism against one of your allies?
So Elon is a patriot. And again, I hardly knew Elon until the election. And he turned out that he liked me better than he liked these radical lunatics that were in it, better than Kamala, better than Joe, because he's an intelligent person. He backed me, and he went. And he got very much involved. He actually would go around saying, if Trump doesn't win, our country is over.
But do you consider this an act of domestic terrorism?
I think so.
Why?
I think that if and when they catch the people, and I hope they do. The good thing is they have a lot of cameras in those places, and they've caught some already having to do with that. I think that you will find out that they're paid by people that are very highly political on the left.
Meanwhile, it's because of Elon Musk. Everything he did with SpaceX, that those astronauts stranded for 9 months, they're finally coming home. Mr. President, your reaction to what's unfolding?
So when I came in office, I said, Elon, we got to get them out. You have a rocket ship handy? How many people have a rocket? And Biden left them up. He abandoned them. You know, we could have done this sooner, but Biden didn't want to because he was embarrassed by what happened. So they were up there. They were supposed to be there for a few days. They were there for many months. And now they're coming back. But think of it. Elon's able to do that with his genius. And you have people that hate it. And I really believe these are people that hate our country. It's a big problem. But, you know, there aren't so many of them. There are many more that love our country. And they love our country now more than they have maybe ever in their lives. There's never been a movement like MAGA, like America First, call it whatever you want to call it. This is the greatest movement in the history of politics.
What's the next stop for the astronauts? Are they going to be coming to the White House?
No, they're going to, number one, have to get better. You know, when you're up there and you have no pull in your muscle, you have no gravity, you can lift 1,000 pounds like this. They have to get better. It's going to be a little bit tough for them. It's not easy. You know, they're up a long time.
Yeah, that's. I didn't watch this whole interview. I didn't know he got into the thing about their how their muscles are behaving, but you can imagine. So there's one more part of this, and I'm not sure what the topic is. Hi, Lone Wolf. How you doing? So let me go ahead and play this last part here. It's a couple of minutes. I'm not sure what it is, but yeah, like, you know, where they're focusing on now, since the politicians, they had 10 of them dip out and vote for the continuing resolution, and that was the first time there was a big rift in Senate Democrats, and hey, so now they're down to judges, attorneys, and the media is where most of their ammunition is. So we're gonna peel them like an orange. But anyway, let's let the interview go on.
Canada was meant to be the 51st state because we subsidize Canada by $200 billion a year. We don't need their cars. We don't need their lumber. We have a lot of lumber. We freed it up, as you know, last week. We're freeing it up so that you can actually cut down a tree without being, you know, given the death penalty. Because what these radical environmentalists have done to our country, but we freed it up. But we don't need their lumber. We don't need their energy. We don't need anything. We certainly don't want their automobiles. They make a lot of millions of automobiles are sent in. I'd rather have them made in Michigan. I'd rather have them made in South Carolina or any one of our...
But you're tougher with Canada than you are with some of our biggest adversaries.
Only because it's meant to be our 51st state. And
okay, but...
but listen to this for a second.
We need their territory. They have territorial advantage. We're not going to let them get close to China.
Look, right? I deal with every country, indirectly or directly. One of the nastiest countries to deal with is Canada. The people that... Now, this was Trudeau. The people that good old Justin, I call him Governor Trudeau, his people were nasty. And they weren't telling the truth. They never told the truth. You know that, they'd say, well, we don't charge. Well, they do. They charge tremendous. They charge tremendous. And if you look at dairy products, what they've done to our farmers, I'd go up to Iowa, I'd go up to different places, Nebraska, and they would always complain about Canada, how they get ripped off. Do you know that Canada has a 250% tariff? 250, nobody knows that. They charge us numbers that are crazy. We have a very big deficit with Canada, and there's no reason, much more, we have much more. Just so you understand, we subsidize Canada, and I like Canada. I love Canada. I love Wayne Gretzky.
The Liberal guys,
I love his wife.
The Liberal Party is going to win now in the next election, most likely. And they were down and out. But isn't that going to make them more hostile to us and possibly
I'd rather deal with a liberal than a
for China, closer to Canada, and that would really put us in a bind.
The conservative that's running is stupidly no friend of mine. I don't know him, but he said negative things. So when he says negative things, I couldn't care less. I think it's easier to deal, actually, with a liberal. And maybe they're going to win, but I don't really care. It doesn't matter to me at all.
So your end game is what with them?
My end game is I don't want to have a big deficit. I don't want to see the United States of America, and you say 60 and I say 200, but it doesn't matter. I don't want us to pay 60 or $200 billion to a country that if they were a state, think of this, it would be our biggest, most beautiful, it would be great. This state, it would be cherished. We'd take care of it. The people would pay half what they're paying right now. Canada pays very little for defense. They think we're going to defend them.
We protect them.
What?
We protect them.
We protect them. We protect them. Do you know in NATO they pay less than anybody else? In everything else, they go, we're in the process of buying 48 icebreakers. All of a sudden I see Canada's involved where they're going to get a piece of them. I say, what are they paying? And so I got tired of it. Here's the story. I had one of the most successful economies. I had the most successful economy in the history of our country in my first 4 years. We did a great job. Largest tax cuts ever, largest everything. We had right to try where people were able to use drugs. Stupidly, for many years, they weren't able to use, the far-reaching drugs because they weren't approved yet. Somebody's terminally ill, they couldn't do it. With me, they can do it. We did so many things. We rebuilt our military. Canada doesn't pay for military. They don't give any. They give us nothing.
The difference between the attitudes, I see what he's saying, but when you've got a healthcare system that allows people to end their own lives, you know what I'm talking about. I don't know what this end game is going to be, because there's a faction that is just not going to fit with what we have. Now Alberta's talking about taking matters into their own hands. So maybe it'll just be Alberta tying us, or the western part of Canada tying us to Alaska. I don't know. But, what are you going to do with these attitudes of a healthcare system that actually encourages people to end their own life? How do you reconcile that or put a stop to that kind of an attitude? Well, anyway, I'll let it keep going.
USMCA, you finally got them around the edge on that, though.
No, I got them there, and USMCA is good, but they cheat. An agreement's good, but they cheat. And Mexico cheats also.
But China cheated on your 2019.
Can I tell you what?
Phase one, they totally cheated and dropped it with Biden. You had a great deal.
When Biden took over, he didn't push them. I would call up once every 2 weeks saying you're not living up to the agreement, and they'd buy more corn, more this. So the most we ever did was $15 billion with China, the farmers and everything, and manufacturing.
Yeah.
I had them up to $50 billion, and they were doing it. When Biden got it, do you think Biden called up President Xi and said,
Well, that's the end of the interview portion that I have. Anyway, I don't know. He's got 48 months for all intents and purposes. 48 months. I'm just looking through the chats. Yeah, a lot of them got dual citizenships, multi passports, and every other thing. That's the thing. I'm like, we got 48 months. How do we straighten all this kind of crap out? But, I'm sure he's got something lined up. Here's Adam Kinzinger. I did mention how a lot of these characters are starting to let themselves go. I've got a beard, but somebody who's never had a beard before, when you see some of these commentators on YouTube, they're getting all scruffy and stressed out. That's the way I see Adam Kinzinger. But here he is. Is this Jake Crapper? But anyway, he's playing tough guy, saying for Trump to go ahead and come get him.
What was your reaction when you saw Trump's post last night declaring your preemptive pardon void and vacant?
Well, first off, I'm trying to figure out what he's trying to distract from, because that's what all this is, always a distraction to try to get people's attention, or maybe he hasn't felt like he's gotten enough attention. But look, Jake, it's like, bring it on. Like, honestly, so, we had an election. I fought against Donald Trump. I wanted Kamala Harris to win. January 6th was a big thing, but America made a different choice. Fine. I'm ready to move on. I'm like, look, we made it very clear what happened on January 6th. America made a decision. There is one person that's obsessed about the 6th because he still has been basically deemed guilty in the court of public opinion, and that's Donald Trump, and he can't handle it. He obsesses about it. So my reaction to him is like, you know what? Then bring it. Like, stop talking about it. Stop being all verbose. Stop pretending like you're tough. Bring the charges then if you really want to do it, because we will crush you in court, and it'll make me 3 times more effective against you. Look, honestly, Jake, I'm ready to move on too. But if he wants to keep bringing it up, bring it up or be quiet. That's how I feel.
Yeah, well, they'll bring it when they're ready to bring it. Okay, I've heard people say a lot of times fugitives, it's a happy day in a strange way when they finally get caught and get arrested. They're like, wow, it's been stressful looking over my shoulder. What took you so long? So I heard him say, I'm ready to move on multiple times. But then he ends up with a, come and get me, come and get me. They'll come and get you when they're ready to come and get you. And I think it's going to be a relief because this guy is wigged out. So keep in mind what I said about 48 months. Here's something to straighten this stuff out. Because General Mike Flynn put this up. While we're sitting here talking, okay, we're thinking, Jake Tapper was talking about the J6 stuff, the committee pardons. We know what happened, even in the news right now today. What do? When you talk about the Tesla vandals, these Mockingbird media say, oh, well, what about the attack on the Capitol? Like you can compare that. And we know what was behind all that. We know about the 81 million votes. We know about the stay home, stay safe. We know all these things that used to be called conspiracy theories, right? We know about all, but the people don't know. And how in 48 months, I don't want to, be a downer, but I mean, it's like, how are we going to get this thing hammered out and laid out before the people to understand exactly what happened and what got us here and how we can never have it happen again? General Flynn put out, I want everyone to read this and try your best to understand what is happening right now inside America. This is a 1959 quote from Nikita Khrushchev. He and people like him took their tasks very seriously. Study the past to understand the future. He took over right after Stalin, Nikita Khrushchev. He very famously beat his shoe on a table and said, we will bury you. And he's also who was in charge of Russia, the Soviet Union, during the Cuban Missile Crisis. He said, your children's children will live under communism. You Americans are so gullible. No, you won't accept communism outright, but we'll keep feeding you small doses of socialism until you will finally wake up and find that you already have communism. We don't have to fight you. We'll so weaken your economy until you fall like an overripe fruit into our hands. So, I found it interesting that he put that out today. And we see this continued organized Mockingbird. I'm going to add to that list. I had judges, attorneys, and media. Universities. Now I've got a clip I'll play on one of my next broadcasts where we have a little bit of each one, including Mr. Sweaty Man, Andrew Weissman. And I have on there, it says it is an illegal psyop in real time. It's a clip from when they were trying to arrest Donald Trump. But here is Georgia State University. I don't know if I get a copyright. This clip might not be in the future broadcast. But let me go ahead and show you what they're doing at Georgia State University, a red state. Well, it used to be very red, but. I don't know if they're going to give me a copyright strike on this or not. Yeah, but Trump is being led around like a dog on a leash. And our taxpayer dollars are all paying for that kind of crap. Here's this nitwit. Did you know he could beat us up?
This
How do you
notion
fight it?
This
I
notion
think
of
I could
tax.
kick most of their ass. I do think that if they wanted to. I know I can outrun them, but I don't know if we're going to fall into that place where we want to. Okay, we challenge you to a WWE fight here type of thing.
Caitlyn Jenner put out a post and said, I'm more of a man than he is. I don't even know what this one is. This is from Marita Bartiromo. Who's she got here? Let me see what this one's about. I copied it, so it must be something.
President Trump has promised to protect female athletes. He has threatened to rip federal funding away from any university that defies his executive order banning biological males from infiltrating women's sports, and he is doing it. We are the first to report that President Trump has paused $175 million in federal funding from the University of Pennsylvania over its controversial policies. A senior administration official telling Fox Business that this is just a taste of what could be coming down the pipe for Penn, a proactive punishment from the president to pull back discretionary spending going to the school from DOD and HHS. The university is still at risk of losing all its federal funding as a result of the ongoing Title IX investigations looking into Penn for allowing transgender athlete and biological male Leah Thomas to compete on the women's swim team, use women's locker rooms, while exposing his male genitalia to his fellow female athletes.
Well, I tell you, hit them where it hurts, and that's the pocketbook. But some of these people need to go to jail. I mean, there was a ongoing drama, where these school administrators made 13-year-old girls undress in front of a male student, all in the name of tranniites, okay? That's what I'm going to start calling them. Used to be that on Facebook you couldn't call people sodomites. Maybe that's still the case on Utizzle too. That was considered a slur. But, I'll just call them tranniites, and I could get a video of that school board meeting where the mother was complaining. And I tell you, that's criminal when you make children do that. Minor children disrobe in front of a student of the opposite sex. We don't need to dream up any new laws. They've already broken them. And they ought to be arrested. And that might be what happens. Because I'm back to what I was saying. Trump's term is 48 months. and we're down to 46 3/4 or whatever it is. And, starving them out money-wise is one thing, but they're getting away with stuff. Here's where they passed I think this is Bulgaria. They passed a bill outlawing gay pride marches, okay? And here they are in their parliament setting off smoke bombs.
A Törvényalkotási Bizottság összegző módosító javaslatát T/11.201/4-es számon, összegző jelentését pedig T/11.201/5-ös számon terjesztette elő. Most az összegző módosító javaslatról döntünk. Kérdezem a tisztelt Országgyűlést, elfogadja?
See him sitting there in that back corner, in the upper right-hand corner. They can get these people and lock them up.
11.201/4-es számú összegző módosító javaslat.
They let so much disruption go by because they don't want to be seen as not allowing free speech. So, I didn't get much into the Kennedy documents because there is 80,000 pages. And like I said, there are rabbit holes and there's squirrels' nests and there's all kinds of stuff that have been going on over the past almost 70 years, 60 years, okay? But I would be interested to see if something comes up. I played a video the other night of Ted Cruz doing an interview, and I should have thought of it then. Remember when Trump ran the first time and had a little bit of a showdown with Ted Cruz, and Trump told him about his father being involved in the Kennedy assassination. You all remember that? And Ted Cruz looked genuinely gobsmacked. He didn't look angry. He didn't attack Trump for spreading falsehoods or defiling his father's honor or anything like that. He looked genuinely gobsmacked. And today I was thinking, wow, is somebody going to come out with something in that pile of papers about Ted Cruz's dad? Now, you know what? Promises made, promises kept. He let all that stuff out. But in the interests of comity, C-O-M-I-T-Y, in the body politic, that might have been something that was held back. I don't know. We'll see. There was supposed to be another 25,000 pages released. Like I said, people have to have time to digest stuff. You can't have information overload because people lose interest. They get frustrated. They just throw their hands up and don't pay attention. But if it's put out in a way that they can process the whole thing, there's a reason Trump is letting this out before the Epstein situation. So one of the things that came out, a lot of people are very interested in, that is apparently very real. Two things. One was a letter from JFK Jr. to Joe Biden. I think I got a picture of that in there. But the other thing, too, is this guy called Gary Underhill. Now, I've heard of him in the past. I don't know if it's a squirrel's nest or a rabbit hole, or if it's really what was happening right on the ground in front of everybody. This guy he left Washington in a hurry. He was talking about his involvement, and he was talking about things he knew. A small clique within the CIA was responsible for the assassination, he confided, and he was afraid for his life and probably would have to leave the country. Less than 6 months later, he was found SHOT in his Washington apartment, and they ruled it a suicide. Now, Hillary was too young back then, but she probably learned a little something from that. So one thing is this Underhill thing, and the other one, let me see if I got a picture of that release about JFK Jr. calling Joe Biden. I might not have that in here. It is a typed up report, just like what we just saw. And it has highlighted that in his letter, here it is. Here we go. Federal Bureau of Investigation. This was in 94. Recorded September 16th, 94. Concerning JFK Jr., Senator Joseph Biden was a victim. See that up top? Who called him a victim? Envelope postmarked Worcester, Massachusetts, bearing the handwritten printed address, Senator Joseph Biden, Delaware, U.S. Capitol Building. Accompanying handwritten, hand-printed letter, dated 8/26/94, beginning, Dear Senator Biden, you are a traitor, and bearing the signature John F. Kennedy Jr. So then you have Hillary was supposed to run for Senate in New York, and after her being the first lady, and then the concerns were that she would not be able to defeat John Kennedy Jr., who was also going to run as a native son. And then the plane wreck occurred. And then she serves as Secretary of State with Joe Biden as Vice President. They're all like worms in a clump of dirt. But what intrigues me, did Biden get that letter and feel threatened and claim he was a victim? You know, a lot of people, when they do something bad, paint themselves as a victim. So he was trying to get JFK Jr. in trouble somehow by using his office as President of the United States. So anyway, what do we got going on? Well, I must have been boring tonight. We had people drop off. That's all right. That's right. I haven't said the whole broadcast. Do me a favor and give me a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed, why not? Helps the video get around. And thank you again to Mike and Bev for going by Buy Me a Coffee and helping with this broadcast tonight. And also Jess and Bean for the other night. I appreciate it. We're into another week here in heading toward Liberation Day. So anyway, folks, I appreciate you all spending your precious time with me. I hope you like this video. This is always a favorite. You all have a great night. I will probably see you tomorrow night. So have a great evening. I'll be seeing you soon. This is Mountain Man, over and out.
You want to play this? Okay. Have to play with it. Come on. Okay. You want to play what? Okay. Say hello to my little friend.